Well, hey there, boys and girls. You know what's interesting is when your dog starts to run from you faster when you say come. Well, actually, it's not that interesting to me because I've been dealing with this problem for a very long time, helping people professionally since 2005. But here goes a question from someone I just got in. And if you have a question, feel free to join my free Facebook group called Ask Jeff the Dog Trainer. And if you post a question, you might just find me giving you an answer through video, just like this. So this person says, my dog's a runner, sigh. She runs faster when told to come, but if she has a leash dragging, she comes when called. No leash, and I get the paw, and she runs. Frustrating and dangerous. Help. Well, I'm here to help. Oftentimes what happens is the dogs haven't been challenged enough on the leash yet, right? And then they have this leash awareness. Now, one of the ways this happens is as soon as we unclip the leash, they're allowed to do what they want. Number one, big boo-boo. So every dog I work with and everyone I work with, I teach how to do this stuff where when you unclip the leash, the dog stays. There's an assumed you don't go nowhere just because your leash is off. Already that's going to start to turn things around. Now, furthermore, what I do is I wait for the dog to look and acknowledge and say, hey, is it cool to leave yet? And so when that happens, I may or may not say, okay. And if I say, yeah, it's cool, go ahead, then they're allowed to go about their day. Now, one clever little trick, especially if the dog takes off the moment they feel that leash come off, is I'll use two leashes, one being very light, so they barely know it's there, don't feel it. And I'll have a hold of that leash, and as soon as I unhook that other leash and off they go, I'm right there to stop them, absolutely. That can help a ton. Another thing you can do is stop calling them when the leash is off for now, because every time we say come and our dog runs, that's all we're teaching. Come means run. Come equals run. So definitely don't want to do that. But what I'll do is call my dog when they're already coming, and I'll start conditioning that. It's something we call positive pairing. So as my dog's walking up to get praise, I might just say, hey, good come. Come on, come here. Good come. And then praise my dog when they get there. We also have a come ritual that we use, which is we'll choose our dog's sacred area to be praised. So maybe that's getting a butt scratch, maybe that's behind the ears, maybe that's, a belly rub, but we're choosing something that your dog loves more than everything else, and then only doing it for the command we're struggling with until it's no longer a struggle. So if it's the come command, I might praise a very specific spot on come, and I don't want to say till it's no longer a struggle. Sometimes we set ourselves up to do that for life with our dogs. So let's say we scratch the base of the tail for come. We bring them into the side of the leg for heel. We might rub underneath the chin for sit. We might pet the top of the dog's back for down. We might pet their side for the classic chill pill, so on and so forth. So the reason this is so helpful is, hey, I worked with a blind and deaf dog recently, and when you train this way to start, should your dog's hearing or eyesight or both ever go, you still do have a way to communicate. All right. Anyhow, so back to the come thing. What you want to do is get it mastered in the house first. Absolutely. Because if you try doing this outside and your dog realizes how fun it is to run from you, that's a no-go. And what you want to do is have your dog in a tiny space. And what you want to do is keep calling them until they get there. That's another important one. So if I call my dog and my dog doesn't come right away and they start sniffing flowers, and I'm going to keep calling them. Now, eventually when they get there, I'm going to praise that dog and praise that dog and praise that dog some more, so that dog realizes how great of an idea it is to come to me. Another thing that's super important, make sure you're never disciplining for your dog coming if they didn't come right away. A lot of people tend to make that mistake, and then the dog's like, come? Oh yeah, no way. Another thing is practice in a narrow hallway at first. And so this is something we do a lot, is we'll either set up our dog in the hallway or like in the corner of a room or somewhere where they really only can go one direction. Absolutely. Because what we're trying to do here is neutralize the thought of I can run from you and create the thought of when you call me, not only do I want to come, I kind of don't have a choice not to. It helps. Now, the way we create them or the way we create the idea in their mind to choose us over everything else is we have to tempt them with everything else that they wouldn't listen to us for when on the leash. And a lot of people go, well, yeah, my dog listens when they're on the leash. All right. Well, have you tried a 100-foot leash yet? Have you told the dog stay when 100 feet away? For one, would your dog even stay? Then for two, if your dog would stay 100 feet away when you call them, would they come straight to you? If not, we got some more leash work to do. Sorry, this is how it is. So a lot of people are trying to move to the next step too quick. This is like if I had 200 pounds on the weight bar, I could lift that, but I can't lift 210 yet. And I go ahead, throw 400 pounds on. Of course, I'm not going to lift that. I'll probably hurt myself. So you don't want to try to set your dog up for something that they're not really able to do without having that proper foundation, or your entitled dog training is just going to collapse on you anyway. What's some other really cool ways to do this? Well, again, using the leash, you could play a little game called Leave It. And every time you say, okay, your dog eats the food, you say, okay, they eat the food. And then out of nowhere, you say, okay, they go to eat the food, and you call them with come. Of course, they're going to probably not come. They're going to go try to eat the food, in which case you have the leash there to help teach and get your dog to come to you. I know. The other thing that you want to do is get your dog to have plenty of motivation to come with you when they don't have a leash. So not in a situation where you actually need them to come, but where you'd like them to. And when they do, you can reward them heavily. And so one of the ways we do this is we'll either always have something on us that's awesome to give or have something nearby so that randomly when we call our dog, they're like, well, what do you have for me this time? And then what we'll do is start putting a couple commands in front of it, which might look like this. Hey, dog, come. Never mind. Down. All right, come. Never mind. Stay. Hey, dog, come. Never mind. Go to your place. Okay, come. And then when they come, we're like, yay, you did it. But we start making it a game. You want it to be fun. And you want to do it a lot. Because I tell you what, you could practice a speech all day, every day. And then when push comes to shove, you get on that stage and butcher the whole thing. Why? Well, you just needed some more work, or you needed practice failing. So we want to put our dogs in situations that they'll be highly likely to fail and be able to help, guide, and direct them so that they succeed. It's crazy. Another one. When I mean me and my team, when we teach dogs to come, we start out really simply. Hey, you just get here for a second, go about your day. Don't need you here long. But over time, it's like, hey, good, come, now stay. And I go about my day, and I'll tell you when to get up when I ask. But why this is so helpful is your dog doesn't think just come and then run, come and then go, come and then go. It's come, sit, stay, wait for the next command. I've seen so many people that had dogs just a hair better than yours is acting right now. And instead of the dog just running every time when they say come, the dog runs to them, but then as they go to grab the dog runs. Which leads me to my next point. Never reach to teach. You don't want to reach to teach. You want to have the dog come so close to you that you're barely moving your arms at all and you're bending over slightly, unless you have a giant dog, in which case you can just move your arms, or if you're extremely short, you get the point. But the idea is, if you have to reach for that dog at all, you're doing yourself and your dog a disservice because you're teaching your dog to run from you. Because every time you reach and grab them, then they're like, well, geez, I don't like being grabbed, so I'll just move a little further away. Then before you know it, you go to grab them, they're not there, right? It's like trying to catch a ghost. So what I want you to do is, when you're doing your leash training, make sure that dog's coming directly to you, right in front of you, and sitting right there. Now, do they have to come in front of you? No, you can have them come wherever you want. That's just how we do it. So when we do heel from a distance, the only difference between heel from a distance and come is heel means come to our side, sit, stay. Come means come in front of us, sit, stay. That's all. Same command, pretty much. When we say come and we're walking backwards, we expect them to maintain that position close to us. You have to teach that as you go, though. Usually not something that's done all at once, although if you can, that's awesome, and kudos to you. And what we'll do is as we move backwards, if we say come, they have to keep following us until we stop. And the moment we stop, they need to come so close to either bump us with their nose or something. They got to be really close. And then they sit, then the love. They still don't go nowhere. So we give the next command. So we're not teaching. It's just you come for a second, get a snack, and run from us, although that's how it can start. Eventually, the idea is you come to us, you stay there. This is safety. This is giant, huge stuff for safety. Another one is, hey, who needs the come command in situations that we're describing here if your dog stays? Because if you ask your dog to come, instead of them running, hey, how about we just don't use the come command? We say stay, and we just go get them for now. That's another good one. It's not exactly what we want, but it's what we need, okay? I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear, okay? If I told you what you wanted to hear, you'd like me more, but your dog's going to listen less. If I tell you what you need to hear, you'll like me less, but your dog will listen more, which will actually lead to you liking me down the road, probably. I hope so. So I just left a session where, I told the people the same thing. I'm like, look, what I'm about to tell you, it's not going to make you like me much, but you need to hear it. And so a lot of this stuff could be common sense, but isn't, because it's not the way we're raised to think about dogs. But when someone shows you how to think about it correctly, it's pretty easy. Simple, I should say. Not necessarily easy, because the easy, you snap your fingers, it's done. Here you actually have to put a little work in, or a lot. So another thing we'll do is, while our dogs are eating the most yummy food in the world, we'll say, leave it, then come. And if your dog can't leave it while eating now, even without coming, then you need to teach that. So while your dog's eating, leave it. Okay, no more. Okay, now eat. Okay, leave it. No more. Okay, now eat. And you should be able to do it that quicker. Leave it. Okay, leave it. Okay, leave it. And you want them to respond like that. I have a rescue dog here that was highly food aggressive. And one of the ways I've maintained with very minimal effort over the years I've had her, to make sure she doesn't bite me or someone in my family or anybody else, over food especially, when I go to feed her, I never let her eat it right away. I always have her leave it first. Or if I do let her eat, I immediately say leave it till she acknowledges me. Then I let her eat. Yeah. So definitely you want to do that. What's some other things that's going to help this out a ton? I don't know. We could do this all day. But another thing is with people. So when our dog sees a people or a person or a people person, but your dog sees someone that they want to get to, oh, there's a person, I have to go see them. Well, what a great time to ask your dog to come instead. What's another one? Instead of asking your dog to just come to you because you're home and you want to see them, that's where we want to do stay or away. So, hey, you want to come see me? Well, I didn't ask you to right now. Get out of here. And then the moment your dog starts to walk away, you say come, and guess what? They wanted to see you. You have a very high likelihood of them coming with or without the leash. But it all starts with getting them to come without distractions, so to speak, then adding little distractions and they come, and then adding the bigger distraction until eventually maximum distraction level and they still listen. We teach something called the 3Ds in dog training. It's called distance, duration, and distraction. And so you can play with any one of those to create better commands. So if my dog comes on a leash now, okay, great. What about the distance? How far away, again, can we get? So recapping now, if I'm at that 100-foot leash, would they do it then? Okay, what about a 200-foot leash? I know I used to take my dog off leash, not saying this is good or bad, but I did it. And I had the leash on me, but then I'd tell her stay, and I'd go like 100 years away from her, and then call her across a crowded park back then when parks were crowded. And here she comes, running through the children playing and running through the people hanging out and running past the food that you could have easily grabbed with people picnicking and running through the playground where people are swinging and kicking stones and just right to me like a bullet. But what I did was build anticipation. So I made the dog really want me to ask her to come by having a stay command. Yep, really works. So what else do we want to do here? Because there's so much we can do. You could have a helper. Helps if your dog doesn't like the helper. I know this sounds weird, but helps really a lot with fearful dogs that won't want to come. In fact, I've been doing that with someone for about, maybe a month now, and she's seeing crazy results. Because at first, what happened is she went to grab her shelter dog that she rescued from behind where the harness is attached. And when she went to grab it, the dog went to try to bite her. And she was like, uh-oh. Now, this dog's highly fearful, it's getting better. And if you went to touch her or made any sort of movement, she's like, and she'd bail. And, she'd really only come out when she felt like it and wouldn't walk on the leash, the type that would just like lay there and like you'd have to drag her. Oh, gosh, right? So we started doing some stuff. And one of the easy strategies we use time to time is if the dog didn't want to go to her, I would just go to the dog. And the dog's like, well, I can't go to him. I'm scared of him more than you. And then the dog would go to her. All she had to do was good come, reward the dog, little cookies. Before you know it, we had that dog actually coming to her on command from across the room with the leash still. And what happens is right as the dog gets close to her, guess what? The dog makes her reach. Because remember, part of the recap is if you reach, you do not teach. You're not teaching much. Don't do it. Don't reach. Make them come so close. You just got to bend over a little bit to touch them. I mean, that's still reaching, but you get what I'm saying. You're not reaching a lot. Okay? It's big. Another one is, for me and for my team, we want them to come right to us, not like go this way and we have to turn to them. Then we call them, they start going this way, and then we turn to them. That's what we do in the beginning. But at the end, when we ask that dog to come, we want it to come beeline right to us. And I really don't understand the word beeline, by the way, just thinking about it, because it's like a bee's like this. It's not really a straight line. I mean, there is a line in the B, but if it's like a capital B, there's two little curvies. If it's a lowercase b, there's one little curvy. So I don't really get how it's a B line. It should be called an I line, because unless you have like an I that has the little things on it, is that called serif or sans serif? I forget. But like, you know, an I would be closer, or an L maybe even close. But anyhow, you get what I'm saying, right? You get what I'm saying. So you want your dog just to come straight to you. Sorry about the notifications. I'm too lazy to turn them off. I was just hoping I wouldn't get a lot, but here they come. So you want your dog to come to you just as quickly as my notifications come to me, okay? So you want it to be all positive at first before you even think about giving a reprimand or telling the dog no for not coming. But down the road, yeah, absolutely. Just like if I were to ask my dog to sit and they didn't sit, I could be like, no, and then hopefully that would work. You know, with come and you have no leash, well, what are you really going to do? Nothing. Your dog just wins. So the whole idea of this is brainwashing. I mean, dog training to the point you've done the same thing over and over again. Your dog doesn't think about it. Because here's the thing. Dogs think about it. When I was helping that lady getting her dog to come, she'd call it with come and it'd go, let me think about it. Should I? And it'd assess the situation. So I was the helper. I had the dog on the leash. And when she said come, I just start running, right? That didn't work at first. And it looks like my family's coming home and they don't have keys. So I'm going to let them in. So this might have cut this a hair short. But boys and girls, if you need more help, feel free to reach out at Ask Jeff the Dog Trainer. You could find that on Facebook. I have a Facebook group there that's free, and you can post questions just like the person did here that I'm answering and giving you advice. If you want to work deeper with me, though, absolutely, I recommend you doing that. It's just a great idea. And you can find that at AskJTDT.com. There's several ways you can work with me. But JTDT stands for Jeff the Dog Trainer, in case you think I'm just throwing some weird letters at you. But have a good one, and hopefully I get a chance to talk to you again real soon. Have a great rest of the day, and happy training, boys and girls. And remember, the fastest way to change your dog's behavior